Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Superficial Spirit. It's me, Peter Breeze, your favorite superficial. What should I call myself? Your favorite. I used to actually, when I was living in Vancouver, sign emails and text messages off as your friendly neighborhood superstar, kind of like a play on your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I'm just really creative like that. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you're having a great week and everything's going well for you. It's crazy times. My God, every time I drive to work in the morning and I listen to the radio on my way to work because that's when I want to make sure I am staying connected in some way. So I know what's going on. And it feels more and more like an apocalyptic movie every day. You know, the things that are going on are crazy. So you just got to do what you can to stay grounded, stay happy, not even happy, just, be present and do what you can to feel good in the moment. And it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to be overwhelmed and, anxiety and fear and sleepless nights and money problems. This is something that most people are dealing with right now. So take it easy on yourself. And, hopefully this podcast brings you some enjoyment, some time to disconnect and enjoy the conversations that I'm bringing you. Today, I'm really excited. Oh my God, I don't know. I'm sorry if you feel like I always say that I'm excited, but I genuinely am always excited. I am actually a very excitable person. I have really high energy all the time. And I notice, especially when I stop drinking, that I get very, 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 I feel like the entire universe is flowing through my body at any given time, and I'm overwhelmed. I am constantly overflowing with creativity and ideas and things like that. And when I sit down to do the podcast, it's sort of like, I get like I'm about to go on a roller coaster. That's how it feels for me. So I hope that you are as excited as not. And if you're not excited, then I hope my excitement wears off on you. So my guest today is was a very pivotal, his presence in my life was very instrumental in the way that I pursued my spirituality and magic and things like that. I met him around the time that I met Evan. So that's almost 8 years ago. And he is a self-proclaimed witch and a voodoo priest. I met him when I was a talent agent, and we actually shopped around a TV show about him. That was in the vein of the Long Island Medium. It was the Long Island Medium meets Mean Girls meets The Craft. It was called Witch Please. He's this big, beautiful black man who can do these incredible psychic readings on you, on the dot. So, going through the grocery store and going up to strangers and doing readings, that was the premise of the show. And we had a lot of interest from production companies. Then he actually ended up moving to Europe, so we weren't able to fully actualize that, but he has a great YouTube channel called Witch Please, where he teaches people how to do spells and practical magic and things like that. Because a lot of people are drawn to witchcraft and the idea of being magical and stuff. And he has a way of breaking it down that's very, very, very relatable. He's a really great person to talk to for spiritual advice. He's kind of like a no, what's that? What am I trying to say here? No bullshit, straight to the point. Okay. And I'm obviously really excited. By the way, I do hear that beeping in the background. I don't know if it's my fridge or Evan's pointing at him. Something is beeping. I want you to know, I've gotten a few messages that people hear beeping in the background. I know what it is. I'm sorry, I don't know what it is, but I know that it's there. So I will try and figure it out. I might be moving. Hopefully one day I have a studio. Keep sending me messages about feedback and stuff so that I can make this podcast as amazing as possible, honey. Okay, so my first guest today, an amazing person. He's all the way in Ireland, okay? Ireland. Can you imagine a gay witch living in Ireland, the most conservative place on the planet? It's not the most conservative place, I know that, but anyway, please welcome Odin the Seer. No, I can't.
Yes. No,
oh,
but
now I can hear. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Me and him were fighting. You should have saw me.
I did it.
We were fighting. I was just like, son of a bitch, Leah, you keep on fucking up for shit.
He actually got up and left the room.
I know that feeling. I know.
I had a moment. I was getting ready to fuck him up. Okay, can you please close the doors so I can help? Thank you.
Aw.
All right, darling.
Oh, we're back. We're back. We're back. Oh my God.
We're back. Okay, so I'm really excited because I was like thinking about the last time we were talking, and there was like so much stuff that I didn't get a chance to say, and I'm just like, shit, okay, we need to do this, and we need to do this hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I lost a whole bunch of interviews, but yours was like extra problematic because we had such a great conversation, and you said some amazing things, and I don't want to try and recreate it necessarily. Like we'll just do what we can. But yes, I'm excited to have you here. You have so much insight because you are a living, breathing example of like spirituality, a unique kind of spirituality embodied. You are not. I was in the intro. I was saying, you have. You're a no bullshit kind of person. You break down these concepts so that they're relatable to people, and you can apply them day to day. It's a kind of spiritual counselor. It's you do the tarot, you do the spells, but how do you describe what you do to somebody who's never met you? What would you say?
What would I say? Okay, so for me, I love what you just said when you said, you're not kind of no bullshit. And that's what spirituality is. Spirituality is no bullshit, right? And people don't understand that. I've always said this. I've said it 100,000 times, and I'll say it 100,000 more times before I die, right? The divine is OG, the original gangster. They don't give a fuck. They don't want you to be sitting in the lotus position, fucking omen and oohing. They want you to get your shit done. Right? That's what they want. They don't want. They don't give a shit. Really, they don't give a shit whether or not you are facing Mecca, right? So what I do is I do exactly what you said. I cut through the bullshit, right? No, you do not need to go to this place and do that. The divine is wherever the hell you are at, right? Wherever you can focus and center yourself. That's where you'll find the divine, and that's what I do. I give you the allowance to be able to find your own personal way to God.
Yeah, you definitely do. And when I met you, I feel like you really spoke to me in a language that I understood, because Evan was very much, you were teaching him different things, and I came in for a few readings, and what I really liked is you spoke to me, like I just said, in a language that I understood. I really wanted to be famous. I was partying a lot. I was trying to understand how I put that energy into spirituality. And you were just like, look, you're Peter fucking Breeze. You can be Peter fucking Breeze and be spiritual. And it was still like, I don't understand. Like, what if I'm doing drugs? What if I want to be famous? What if I want to be out every night? And you were always like, if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But you have to understand there's another layer, another level to who you are. And that's what you helped me understand. But it didn't feel superficial. Like, you have to be sober to be spiritual. You can't be famous if you want to be spiritual. You were like, look, bitch, if that's what you want to do
it. Exactly. And there's like people say, well, how can you consider yourself to be a spiritual person when you eat food like that? Isn't your body a temple? Fuck you and your temple, okay? All right? This temple has a drive-through. Okay? Okay? Let me just, right? If you want to find your path to the divine is doing blow off the back of a toilet seat, and it be so. Okay? That's just the way it is. And people don't understand that, right? They don't call alcohol spirits for nothing, boo. You can find your way to the divine, right, at the bottom of a bottle of gin. Okay? Sometimes you need to hit rock bottom so there's nowhere else to go but up.
Yeah. What do you think then the balance is? Because I always say that I did definitely first encounter the divine in nightlife, because I felt like I was finally connecting authentically to who I thought I could become. And I was big and I was loud and I was pushing my personality to the extreme and like flexing those muscles. And that was a spiritual experience, but I did end up eventually going too far. So when you say drugs and alcohol, like you can use them, what's the balance then?
Well, you see, you got to understand this. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, you will achieve, right? And what people don't understand is if there's an emotional connection to something, that is your personal connection to the divine. Anything that inspires you, right? Going after your goal, going after your dream, even being a party animal, it's inspiring, right? to a lot of people. Now, people get caught up in the illusions that they have to hold, right? Or they feel they need to hold. And what they do is they become a caricature rather than being themselves. One of the main things I loved about you, Peter, right, is though, although you were Peter Breeze, honey, right, big and bold as life. Do you know what I mean? You were also that same person that saw me at a club and was like, hey, come dance with me.
Yeah.
You see, so that's a very, very different thing. When you are out there and you're exploring what it looks like for you, your own personal blade of grass, your own personal way to the divine, when you get lost, right, in the fundamentals that make you who you are, then you've gone too far. Right? And this is such an important thing because people are like, I see people all the time. They come to me and they're like, oh, I want to do this. I want to be this. And I'm like, okay, well, you are that, right? You just have to figure out what that looks like for you in this reality, in this carnation, right? When you try and augment yourself to be something that you're not, right? You are not honoring the creative force that's within inside of you, right? Or that spark that you have to give to this world. It's a very different thing.
It is. Yeah. Keep going.
Right? What I loved about you is always the fact that you were very different, even though you were, and I've seen you with some points where I was just like, hey, right? Oh, girlfriend's a little messy today, right?
Yeah.
I've seen things like that, but there was always a sense of self. Even when there's points in times where you felt that you didn't have a sense of self, right? You were still you.
Yeah,
Right?
I feel that. And there is, like, when you go into something like nightlife and, like, I really wanted to be a star, and that was really authentic expression of what I was doing. And then you're right, I lost that connection to my personal power because of the environment, because of substances, because you start with this genuine interaction that's helping you explore what it means to be bigger and brighter. And then what happened to me is you slowly cross over to depending on those things, and then they become like your shield. So instead of me being able to authentically be me without any edits, I became lost in it. It was like, oh, this is so cool, this feels so good. And so you slowly lose your voice. That was like the voice and the inner guidance system that brought me there in the first place, that made me somebody that people were interested in, slowly became watered down when I, lost my confidence or thought that I needed the nightlife, the image, the drugs, the alcohol, the people around me to validate me.
Well, and that's 100% real, right? And what you have to also understand too is that I've always said that you've been yourself, because even when I saw you at your worst points, right, there was always something that you held on to, Peter. That's what I noticed from you. There was always something, even no matter drug-induced coma, honey, there was still something that you held on to that made you unique. What ends up happening is when people go after a goal or a dream, when I went into the modeling industry, right, I had something to give the world, right? But I allowed bullshit external forces and illusions dictate to me what I had to be to give the world, right? Which completely caused me to lose that thing that made me unique.
Yeah.
Right? And that's one of the things, because I watched you transform from being you that was just inspiring, right, to conforming to what you thought the world wanted to see you as to be famous.
Exactly.
Right? And that's when you lose yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And especially when, and I think anytime you pursue something and you get some validation, it's sort of like this message of, oh, that's the thing I'm supposed to be doing. So when you're out and you're doing destructive behavior like partying and stuff, and people are celebrating you for it, it is really confusing, because in one hand, you're being celebrated, paid, traveling, doing all these things because you're destructive, but you also have that little voice that's like, well, wait, this doesn't feel right. And you have to really be able to set those boundaries. And it's hard when everything that you want is right in front of you. It's really fucking hard to set those boundaries.
Well, absolutely. But then we look at all the people in the world who are iconic. Look at Madonna. Madonna was just like, look, you know what I mean? I'm going to do it the way I want it. Britney did it. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of backlash. So you do, because even for me, I mean, I remember when I first went into the modeling industry or even the singing industry, they wanted me to sell my soul. Right? Because you're like, okay, you know what? You need to do this because you want to be a star, do this. You want to be, famous, do this. You want to make that money, do this. And you do, you get caught up. And then you start to sell a little bit of yourself every single time. And the more you look at, what's that girl's name? The one that went fucking crazy. Lindsay Lohan.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right? Prime example. Do you see what I mean? So what I always tell people is this. Drugs, exploration, whether it be drugs, whether it be sex, whether it be whatever it is, those things can assist you in finding who you are. Right? Now, I'm not advocating saying, yo, man, everybody go and do a line of blow. I'm not saying that. Right? What I'm saying, I know, right? Blow for everybody. Right? I'm not saying that. What I am saying is if this is your personal blade to God. Now, I say that when I keep using that terminology, what I'm saying here is there are as many ways to God as there are blades of grass in this plane of existence. Right? Just because one person's blade of grass is to sit in the lotus position on, Mount fucking in Machu Picchu, right? This does not mean that is the only way to the divine. You found your way to the divine, right, through what you experienced, right? And that's what it's like. Everybody has to understand. Evan found his way to the divine through going through some serious trauma.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? And that's what I want. If anybody who's listening to this, I want you to know where you're at this point in time is not a curse. Right? It is not. Like people say, well, I don't want to be a depressed person. What the fuck do you think depression is? Depression makes you look at yourself. What is wrong with my life? What is it that I'm doing that's not in resonance with where I want to be? Right? That is a blessing, honey. We are told that it's a curse. Right? And whether it is a line of blow or you're taking like lorazepam, honey, right? You're trying to numb the pain. One is prescribed, one you get from some guy off the street. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I love that you say that. And, I find specifically drugs and nightlife, because that was my experience, is so... It was a way to the divine for me. And I think it is important that I say that because we don't want people to feel like the path to spirituality. I've had a lot of conversations on this podcast, and a lot of people, when I ask them about their spirituality, they say, oh no, I'm not religious. And the reason why I want to be so open about how my path to spirituality was, I guess, quote unquote, unconventional through nightlife, through the pursuit of fame, drugs and alcohol, sure, is because you have to be willing to let yourself follow your impulses. And even if that goes against what you think spirituality is or what you think it means to be authentic, you need to go down that path, because if you don't follow those voices and you do what you think you're supposed to do in order to be spiritual, to be happy, to be whole, like to not be depressed, blah, 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 you're gonna miss the joy of going through that door of what it means to be you. Like you say, the blade of grass. There is a doorway on the planet that is just for fucking you. And you have to go through it.
Precisely. This is the densest of all realities. This is the heaven of form, right? This is where we come to have experience, right? Now, how the hell are we going to have experience, right, if we are governing our lives by way of what everyone else says that we should be doing? Don't do this. How do you look? If you need to do this to have an experience, right, to be able to better gauge what and who you want to be in this reality, that's powerful, honey. Look, all I can do is I can quote Terrence here, right? Homo sum, hamani anil ami alienum puto. Okay, I am human. And I think that nothing human can be alien to me. Experience is what allows for evolution, right? And sometimes it is having a breakdown, going through depression, becoming an addict, having this experience. These are all parts that allow for you to overcome a certain situation. We get caught up in illusions by way of we have to do this. We need to live this. If you do this, you're a failure. That is not true, right? We need to understand Jesus Christ was a rebel.
Yes.
Right? Buddha was a rebel. Right? People don't know this. They went and did things that everybody else in society was like, you can't be doing. Honey, he was on the cross. Yes. Do you see what I mean? They killed him. They were like, look, we're done time with you, okay? You got to go.
Since you brought up Jesus, I just want to, one of the most amazing things I've ever heard you say, and when I talk about pop culture being a conduit for my spirituality, you're like, Jesus was a pop culture icon. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's so true. Like, he's an idol, just like Britney is an idol for me. They live in that same world. So why not find fucking divinity in a pop star if you can get it from Jesus Christ?
One
Like,
of the most, it's exactly the same. One of the most powerful icons that I have is Miss Audrey Hepburn, right?
Yeah.
She is on all of my altars. She's always been, right? Because she was the embodiment of the female force of love and femininity and beauty. She can do those things. She could go out to Africa with children with little flies on their faces and stuff and pick them up. I wouldn't, but she could.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I get nervous. I clean them up first and then I'll pick them up, right? Right? Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, right? But she could do that. But she was so beautiful, and she had a beautiful heart. People have to really start looking in different areas for their own spirituality. If everybody tries to go the same way to their spirituality, they are going to get lost. Right? If you try and conform to the status quo of what connection looks like, right, you will always be playing a role that is not authentic. Right? I talk to God in a very different way than most people. We cuss each other. I'm like, look, let me tell you something, little bitch. Like, that's just the way, right? Yeah. I do that, right? I get right into it because that is my own personal relationship with God. I don't got to go to church. I don't got to go to the mandir. I don't have to do any of these things, right? God is where I am at all times. You know why God is where I'm at? Because God is within inside of me, honey.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
Right? That soul is God. My soul is God. I am God. And people can get angry and I can have people yelling and screaming at me, calling me everything but the child of God. Right? I'll be like, you can call me if you want to because I am God. Here's another little thing that I want you to understand that's very important. I don't know if you're going to put this on your because this is a little intense, right? But we're going to go there. People like to have this idea of good and evil, right? Good and evil is an illusion. Okay, it is not real. So I'm gonna ask you some questions here, Peter, and I want to see how it works. Yes. Okay, so do you know what Lucifer's name means?
No.
It means the bringer of light. Okay. Do you know what Jesus means? What he is known as?
No.
The way, the truth, and the light. Okay. There is a school of thought that believes that Jesus is the reincarnation of Lucifer.
What? Is that Satanism?
No, it is not Satanism. Think about it. Lucifer was a rebel. Right? He was the one who allowed for free will, right? Jesus was a rebel. He was the one that also provided free will.
Right.
Right? So that's a really difficult concept for people to understand.
It is because the concept of good and evil is so ingrained into what in every single way, politics, the way we tell stories, religion, how we perceive ourselves. And so if you're saying, a perceived good source like Jesus and a perceived bad source like Lucifer are both able to bring the light, you're saying that, it's not about our perceptions. It's about, I guess, what you're drawn to necessarily. But okay, because there are, I don't know, the concept.
Well, darling, what I want you to understand is this, right? If we're looking at a spectrum, you got to understand it as a spectrum, right? For there to be one, there must be another, right? This is balance, right? So when you're saying, if you're drawn more to the darker side to be able to find your own personal light, your own personal truth, darling, right? Not everybody is going to reach enlightenment in the lotus position.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? Some people have to touch the face of Lucifer. They have to go through that dark time, right? Because it allows them, it gives them something to gauge what is most important.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to being curious about the dark side, and that being another avenue in which I discovered more about myself that served my spiritual journey, my journey on the planet, my journey as a human. What do you think then if somebody is drawn to the kind of darkness that hurts other people, like violence, for example?
Okay, so if we're talking about violence or whatnot, let me just, oh, I love this. Okay, let's do this. Okay. Violence, in my opinion, is being bound and restricted, right? It's lashing out, right? Why do people become violent? They become violent because of the fact that there is something within inside of themselves that they cannot deal with. Right? Society, how many people have cut themselves when they realize, wait a second, I'm homosexual? Right? How many transgenders are out there, females to males or male to females who are cutting themselves, cutting their breasts, cutting their, other areas because of the fact that they're trapped? We have created a society where we are trapped. You are this, you have to live your life like this, you will never be able to change this, this is you, right? Well, I'm sorry, honey, if you put anybody in a situation, you back anybody in a corner long enough, they're going to come out swinging. Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right. So it's not the act of violence we need to focus on. It's what's creating the conditions for these people to feel like they need to go to that extreme in order to express themselves. And they're not necessarily like, oh, I need to commit this act of violence in order to have a spiritual awakening. But where people are feeling so restricted that they have to lash out to feel anything. And it's that act that inevitably leads to remorse, guilt, whatever, and then that is what leads to the spiritual awakening. And if people are on the other end of the violence, it's really, obviously violence against another human is awful. And what does that mean if somebody, let's say a mass shooter kills a bunch of people and then afterwards in jail has a profound spiritual experience, finds God, is remorseful, feels so bad, has a new kind of clarity, but at the cost of so much.
Absolutely, and I completely understand that. There was, I think it was Dave Chappelle that said, when they were talking about Martin Lawrence being on Hollywood Boulevard with a gun, talking about they're trying to kill me, right? He said, maybe it's not Martin that's fucked up, maybe it's the system, right? Most people who end up being in jail or whatnot, they have those spiritual awakenings. They have those spiritual awakenings because they are able to reflect a little bit, right? They're able to kind of prioritize, see where things are. Let me give you an example here. When I was doing my training, we had to do research on Jeffrey Dahmer, right? And so we're in class, and everybody's saying, "Oh, I think he's a sociopath," and "Oh, he obviously has some bipolar disorder," and they're just fucking categorizing, right? And you know me, honey, I have a tendency. I'm very verbal, right? And my prof said to me, "You haven't said anything," right? And my prof was like, "How? What do you think?" And I said, "I don't think he's a sociopath at all." And my prof said, "Interesting. Why is that?" I said, "Because he made the statement that these people did not die because he killed them. They died because he was trying to drill holes in their head and putting stuff inside of their brain to stop or just kill that part of the brain that gave them free will so they would never leave." Right? A sociopath doesn't do that. That was somebody that was traumatized. That was somebody who was afraid, had abandonment issues, and all those are the things that I could see. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people had to die because of that. Do you see what I mean? And I'm not condoning any of these things. I just want people to start looking at things the way they are. Right?
Yeah.
Am I going too weird?
No,
Peter?
no. I think it's important. What I was just gonna say is, you have a way of acknowledging the side of life. You know, we're talking about quote unquote evil acts. The part that people don't really want to hear is that as a society, and even on a smaller level, as family units, we create these conditions for people to do this, and they want to believe that people are born evil, that they have these disorders that, you know, that force them to commit these unbelievable acts of violence. And also sometimes it's like there is a broader conversation that we can be having about why aren't people lashing out? Why aren't they doing these things? I believe there are, I guess, mental conditions, maybe chemical conditions that support becoming more violent and going down that path. And as a society as well, you know, you bring up a good point. If you put people in a corner too long, inevitably they do lash out. I do that with Evan. Oh my God. If things get too chaotic at home, I lash out. I don't hit him. I stamped on his foot once on like our second date in a movie theater because he exploded a kombucha bottle and it got all over me. It smelled like vomit, and I slammed on his foot as I went to the bathroom. That was about as violent as I got. But no, I do appreciate what you're saying about the other side, like looking at the source of violence. It's not just focusing on the violent acts. It's like, well, if you want to put it in a spiritual context and in the arc of how a human being can evolve, there is a before, there is the incident, and then there's after. And you know, it might not be the most comfortable conversation or the most popular opinion, but I do hear what you're saying.
You know, and I think what we need to understand, I mean, Jesus on the cross, he looked at the murderer beside him and said, right, "You will be in my Father's kingdom." Right? This is the heaven of form. This is experience. Right? Now, again, I am not condoning any violence, any hatred, any bigotry, any of these things, right? But I want to take the evilness or that label that people put on other people. Don't do this. Don't do that. You can't be this. You can't be that. There needs to be acceptance of where someone is at any given time, right? It is not one way for one and another way for another, right? Because the status quo says this is acceptable. Honey, 40, 50 years ago, me and you, for who we choose to love, we could have been in a whole lot of shit. Right? There's parts in this place in this world where we'd still be in shit.
Yeah, exactly. It's still, yeah, for sure. I mean, especially for a queer person. Oh my God, are you joking? Like, yeah, people are still getting killed daily, probably because of it.
Absolutely. You know, and this is what I'm talking about. This is where I'm trying to really bring it home. We need to understand that even homosexuality is your own personal blade of grass to God.
Oh, for sure.
Right? If it gives you the ability to love another person for what they truly are outside of gender, right? Outside of race, outside of conditioning. Look at me. I married a transgender, right? Why? Because it did not matter what was hanging or not hanging between Leo's legs. That was not my concern. My concern was this motherfucker has something inside them that inspires something inside me, right? And that was all that matters.
That is really hard for people to do when it comes to love. I have a lot of friends who I feel like are looking for love, and they have this idea in their mind about what their partner is going to be like, or what love feels like, what they think it's going to be. And I know my experience with Evan has been like, no, love is not, my relationship with Evan is not what I thought my relationship would be. It's so much better. And also I had to surrender a lot of the ideas I had about the type of guy I would be with, the type of relationship I'd have, the type of lifestyle I'd have. And I think one of the proponents to like falling in love and meeting people is genuinely letting go of all the expectations you have of who this person is supposed to be, what they look like, what their gender is. I mean, obviously, if you know you like to suck dick, that might be an issue, but maybe not. I mean, gender is a spectrum. Sexuality is a spectrum. I was hooking up with girls before I left BC. Like, hello, it can happen. And
absolutely.
How do people though let go of this when they feel like, you know, the tall, dark, and handsome, or the you know, these fairy tales, I guess, is what they are. That were.
Well, you see, let me tell you something. Whoever speaks to me in the right voice, honey, it doesn't have to be tall, dark, and handsome. It can be fucking small, pale, and chubby, right? I don't care, right? And this is what people need to understand. People have this idea. They have an idea that they try and they go after because, again, right? I've had people say, "Oh, well, I could never date that person." But you know, what would my friends think?
Yeah.
Right? Well, your friends ain't got to worry about nothing because each one of them got a boyfriend. You're the one sitting here by yourself at night. Do you see what I mean? It is so very important. Even take a look at with your relationship. I will never forget when Evan came to my office and he was just all like, so I have a date. You just started talking. He was like, I have a date with Peter Breeze. And I looked at him and I was all like, uh-huh.
Good luck with that one, Evan.
No, you know what I said to him? Immediately. I looked at him and he was all like, he said, well, what do you think? And I said, I think Peter's a lovely person. And he was like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, when I met Peter, I said, I was at a party that I did not know anybody. I said, Peter came up and said, come dance with me. Do you see what I mean? That is really you.
Right.
That's the person that you are. And that's why all of the shit that anybody was saying about, oh, he's a club kid, he did this and he did that, and girl, you can find this, and oh, don't check that, right? All of that shit, I was like, you know, let me tell you something. That is not my experience. My experience is a very loving experience with Peter. And that, and only that, is the way I'm going to gauge how I perceive you and how I tell others about you.
Well, I'm glad.
Right?
You can be destructive and loving at the same time. I remember I wrote this poem once. It was like one part psychopath, one part sunshine. Because I acknowledged that I was dark and destructive and I had that side. But, you know, back then when I met people, the main thing that they would say after talking to me for 5 minutes is, wow, you know, you're so much more, I don't know, grounded, confident, well-spoken. Like they would just, I think they thought I was basically, you know, glitter with a pulse. They didn't really expect much from me. And that's how I planned it. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be that cartoon character, but, you know, people were often and still sometimes surprised, I guess, by who I actually am.
But that's the thing. But see, Peter, this is what I'm talking about. Paul, like, I want you to realize that it was this aspect of the self. And unfortunately, people don't, and we were talking about violence earlier, right? If you didn't have that foundation, that grounding, right? Peter, where could you went? Think about this. Do you see what I mean? Think about this. Let's take a look at one of the people that you love the most, Michael Alec.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay? Because he got so lost, look what happened.
Yeah.
And people don't know this. People don't realize this. We are taught to not have a healthy sense of self, right? Be better, do better, live better, look better, eat better, be better, right? And because we do not have that foundation, right? Now let me tell you something about pop icons. Let's talk about Jesus Christ, right? Jesus Christ was suffer if you need to. Be who you have to be, right? Look at Madonna. Fuck them hoes. Do what you gotta do, right? Absolutely no regrets, right? Look at Britney Spears. I went crazy, but I pulled my shit together.
Free Britney.
Do you know what I mean? These people, what we don't understand is these icons. It's not just what they represent, right? We watch them evolve. We watch some succeed and we watch some fail, right? But we learn from them. Pop culture is the gods of now. These are our gods, all right? And we need to understand we learn via them, right? Honey, we don't got millions to be able to jet set out and do stuff like that. But honey, we can live vicariously through one of them.
Yeah.
Right? You don't think I watch Janet Jackson on tour, right? And pretend that I'm her? Of course I do. Sometimes I take out the wig too if I need to. Right?
What do you think then the relationship is between, you know, being connected to the fantasy of what it could be like to be like that? You know, like something like manifesting is a very popular concept these days. You know,
Yes.
you can just pull opportunities into your life without really doing anything. And, you know, the idea of projecting yourself into a future that which I have done. Imagine yourself famous, you become famous. Imagine yourself rich, you become rich. But what's the relationship between believing something that hasn't happened yet and then like being naive to what the world actually is?
Well, first of all, it has happened. Okay. We need to understand that. The heaven of creation, anything the mind can conceive and believe, it already exists. You're not making, energy cannot be created, darling. Right? It already exists. Right? The problem is we have been conditioned to not believe it. We have been conditioned to believe that we have to work towards something. One of the biggest, when in the Bible where it states, right, now you will have to work for everything. Right? That was an illusion. Right? That right there was telling us of the illusion of how we felt that we needed now to suffer to be able to make manifest. The old Buddhist saying, right? Whatever your thoughts of today, your thoughts of today will determine your reality of tomorrow. Right? So when I say to you, or when you say, well, you know, the power of positive thinking, that's kind of like the whole fake it till you make it. I fucking hate that. I hate fake it till you make it. Be it till you see it. Right? Because you are drawn to those things for a reason, right? Now, the thing about achieving your goals is authenticity. Right? You're drawn to them for a reason. And let me tell you, they are drawn to you as your natural self for a reason. Right? What people don't understand is when they try and fake something, what they're doing is they're repelling it from coming into their reality.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? You don't ever have to change yourself or augment yourself in a way that's going to make it fake to bring something into your reality. You need to attract it to you. You don't go to it, it comes to you. Right?
Yeah.
So when I have ideas or dreams or goals or aspirations that I have in my life, right? I don't think about augmenting, I'm going to fake it. I'm going to augment myself till this comes in. No. You will never find a witch like me, okay? What I do is I look at myself and I'm like, okay, what's going on within my reality that I am repelling this from coming to me, right? I take a look at the areas that I see conflict, right? And I work through them, right? And allow it to come to me rather than me having to go to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that was my experience because, and I don't know how I naturally just understood this and believed this, but when I was growing up and I saw celebrities on TV, I didn't have the language for it back then, but I felt if I made myself this person, I always sensed that there was something special about me, just like there's something special about everybody. I had that inner light always that was very, very obvious. Like I can do whatever I want. I have a purpose. And the whole concept, fake it till you make it, be it till you see it, versus be it till you see it. I do understand what that means because when you completely embody what you want from the inside out, then you become, it's like nobody in the fucking world in 2009 could have told me I wasn't a fucking famous pop star. Because if you were around me for 5 seconds, you could tell that I believed it. Everybody around me believed it. And that kind of belief is magnetic and it's impossible to break. When somebody believes something about themselves from the core of who they are on the outside, it is reality. It is reality.
Absolutely.
And that's how you manifest.
Absolutely. And you know, the thing about it is, Peter, when I look at you and the way that you have always lived your life, from what I know, I'm just going to be really candid with you about this. There is nobody in this world. Like, you are dynamic. You've always been dynamic, right? I don't take notice of very many people. I took notice of you the first time I saw you. I was like, this one right there, that one's got a spark, right? But the thing about it is, darling, there was points in time in your reality where I could see you get lost, right? I could see you not tending to yourself, right? You started to buy into illusion, right? Oh, I need to live my life like this. I need to go to this party and do that. I can't sit at home, read a book, meditate. I can't do these things. You were not taking care of yourself. The person that you were trying to portray yourself to be, right, became more in the driver's seat than who you actually were.
Exactly. That's
And
exactly it.
that's where you messed up. That's where you slipped up. Because
Yeah.
you had think, dude, you opened up for like people like dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's a hard, honestly, it's a hard pill to, I can hear myself for a second. It's a hard pill to swallow when you realize your dreams were so close and you look back and you can see how how I slipped up, where it's like everything was going so strongly and so confidently. There was no obstacle. Like it was just a clear path to the things that I wanted. But I did get lost. I felt like I needed to be something that I wasn't. And because I was working so hard at creating this crazy club kid image for so many years, and then it finally started to come to fruition, it did feel counterintuitive to start going against it. You know, it's really hard to stand in the face of your dreams and say, oh, wait a second, if I really want to make this happen, I'm going to have to make some changes first. And it's taken me 5 years to get back to the place where I feel comfortable expressing myself.
But you see, the thing about it is what you have to understand, darling, is you just said the key thing there, right? If you had changed what you were doing, that image that you created, you would have came across as unauthentic. Right? At the beginning. Oh, so you were you lulled us into a state of comfort thinking that you this, but you ain't really this, right? However, if you were authentic from the word go, do you see the power behind that?
Yes. And also letting your authentic self change, because I felt compelled to pull away to take better care of myself, but I was resisting that because I thought that it wasn't good enough. So when people are feeling the momentum in their life build towards something that they want, whatever it is, and you feel a calling to balance out the other side, you have to do it and trust that if you do it authentically, things will work themselves out. But I went to such an extreme that I was depleted. I was like an empty fucking, I was like a condom that was flung off a party balcony. Like I just had nothing left, no fire, no spark. I mean, you're right. I did always hold on to something, but you know, I had to completely rebuild mostly my confidence, because when I left the club scene, I didn't feel like I had any worth. I didn't feel like I was interesting. My ideas weren't valid. People didn't talk to me anymore. Like, you know, I was low. I was very, very low. And I had to build myself up again to I was born feeling like I had a purpose. That's something I was born with. Fucking cocaine can't take that away from me because I went through a crazy phase in my 20s. The club cannot take that away from me. But to rebuild a belief takes time. I had to re-believe in myself again, which I do now, but bitch, that took time, and it's hard fucking work.
And that's so important. I'm so glad that you said that, Peter, because it is so important for us to understand. We're all going to get lost, honey. We're all going to get lost at some point in time. But look what getting lost, look where that brought you. Mm-hmm. Look at the experience that Evan had. Look where it brought him, right? Look at the crap that I had to endure. Look where it brought me. Do you see what I mean? We need to understand that everything is a learning experience, good, bad, or different, okay? It provides us an opportunity, right, to gauge what and where we want to be in this reality. It's so very important. Right? You went through this whole stage where you became somebody else. You became that person, right? And by becoming distracted as Peter Breeze, the club kid, rather than Peter Breeze, the natural icon.
Thank you.
Right? It's true, right? Instead of because you got caught up in this idea of what society said you had to be to hold that, rather than forming or blazing your own trail, right? RuPaul said it best. When I first came out, there was no place in the pop industry for a 7-foot tall drag queen, right? So I blazed my own trail, right? That is what's inside of you. We are, the way that society has been formed is to distract us from who we are. Because the moment we embrace our own personal power, right, is the moment we become powerful.
I love that. I love that. It's so fucking true. And the more authentic you are and the more powerful you feel, the less you perceive obstacles, because when you do have that self-generating belief and power, nothing can really stop you from doing what you want. What do you think, though, is the biggest obstacle for most people, like with your clients and people coming to you? It's not that they don't know there is maybe a better way for them to live, but there is obstacles that they just can't wrap their minds around. What do you think the biggest
illusion, honey? Illusion. It is illusion, bar none. I mean, I can't even, honey, people come to me and they're like, well, can I do this? Of course you can! Do you know what I mean? Well, my boss is so mean to me, but girl, fuck that job. Do you know what I mean? Leave that. Do you know what I mean? But I couldn't do that. What if I? Yes, you can. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. Do you know what I mean? No, you're going to sit here and you are going to live like you're going to do something that makes you unhappy. You are going to believe what another motherfucker has nothing to do with you, your life, what you're living, what you're going through, what you've learned is going to tell you how to dictate your wrong witch, wrong day. Right?
Wrong witch, wrong day. Wrong rich, wrong. I can't even say it. That's a tongue twister.
Right? Like, we need to understand this is, it's so very important. You're not going to be able to stand in your own personal power, right? Unless you acknowledge who you are. And the moment that you stand in your own personal power is the moment no one can deflect or try and cause illusion in your world. I know who I am. Right? And when someone says, oh, but you are, I'm like, no. Don't tell me who I am. I live in this body 365 days a year. I know exactly who I am. Right? So you can take that shit and sell it somewhere else, because, look, sell crazy somewhere else. We're all stocked up here. Okay? I know who I am.
Do you think that social media and pop culture can give people a false sense of identity? Like going down that hole can make it harder for them to self-actualize and have that confidence you're talking about?
It can, right? But it's also a blessing because it provides you the opportunity to figure out who you are, right? Some people will get lost. Some people will not know where they are. Some people will want to be this. Some people will, I mean, there's people out there that are getting plastic surgery to look like Ken and Barbie and stuff, and right? People can do that. But you know what, right? Those people, you can have your extremes, and you're going to have your extremes, regardless of anything. Some people are just so far gone, right? They are at a point in time where I like to call it self-loathing, where they just don't want to look at or address who they are, right? And that is society. I blame society solely for that. So, can pop culture cause conflict in the psyche and the spiritual self? Absolutely. But that's really contingent on where the person is spiritually and emotionally. Does that make sense?
Yes, because I can consume pop culture personally, and I feel like it's a well of inspiration, but I also acknowledge that at one point I lost myself completely in what I was consuming and trying to emulate that. And so it is a learning opportunity. And I always feel like social media and pop culture is an opportunity to reflect. Like if you see something on Instagram that you don't like, you don't have to look in it. You don't have to engage in it, but you can also reflect on why it's making you feel that way. If you want a better body and you're looking at people with six packs all the time, that tells you something. If you're looking at your ex-boyfriend's Instagram all the time and his new lover, that's telling you something. Maybe you're living in the past. So I do think that it takes some editing, or not even editing, just some awareness to consume these things and be aware of the feelings, because your feelings aren't facts, you know, they're indicators. So if you're feeling jealous, it doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't mean that you're less than. It just means that you're having a feeling about something and you need to look at how to move through it.
Absolutely. And you know, it's so very important. Like for me, one of the things that I found is that my generation with the Madonnas and the Janets and the Paulas, right?
Yes, yes.
God bless her, honey, right? Right. What we don't understand is that if you have a artist, and this may sound really weird, but I found this pattern. If you have an artist that you follow through thick and thin, right, and you have that loyalty, I have found that those people have a tendency to have more of a foundation. I am scared of our people, of the children or the teenagers at this point in time, because there's no more loyalty.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Well, like instead of following a particular icon, they're a little bit. Can you hang on one second? I really have to pee. Give me a second.
Sure, go ahead. Hello, lovely.
Hello there.
How are you?
Wait, I'm just inserting the buds. I'm trying to get them. They're pretty tight. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? You look beautiful.
Thank you. You look good too. You always look good.
Oh, thank you. I took off 80 pounds.
You were never that. What did you put on 80 pounds?
Oh, honey, by last Christmas, the Christmas just passed.
Eating the potatoes?
Yeah. I was up at 320, like 28 pounds.
Oh my God. Wow.
I got big.
Well, you look fantastic. You look good.
I had to take it off. I was just like, enough is enough. Right?
So we,
Go ahead.
I think, just got ourselves in a lot of trouble.
Why?
Because we just are about to sign a lease and have to move in 4 days.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's a good.
So it's
no,
like
it's a good thing. We wanted this place. It's a beautiful place. It's close to the city. It's just we sort of gambled, and they said yes. And
To which one, Hannah?
Hannah. So we have like next week we have to move. Not prepped at all.
you can do this.
Oh, we'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it for sure. It'll just be. It's almost better just to do it in a week and not like spend 2 months just doing it. But
Get her done. Get her done.
Mm.
Actually, we're looking at property. We're probably gonna hopefully we'll be buying new property on the 14th of next month.
wow, are you buying? So where? What city are you in now? Is it Dublin?
So we're in Donegal. So we're on the Wild Atlantic Way. So like literally, like the ocean is a stone's throw from my house.
Mm.
Right? Amazing. Amazing. So we're looking at some property in a place called Ross Common. It is 5 acres of land.
Mhm.
Right? It has a derelict building on it, so we'll be able to build our house. Right? So we're going to be building cob structures.
Wow.
I'm so freaking excited. And that's
Is there a house right now? Or is it a complete rebuild?
it's complete rebuilt, right? So what we're thinking about doing is we're either going to put mobile homes on it so we can build at our own leisure, or I'm just going to like foot the bill and just get a log style cabin for the first one, like a 4-bedroom log style
Yeah.
cabin.
Oh, that would be
Right.
that'd be great. I mean, that sounds so exciting.
So that's the first property we're going to be buying. We're going to be buying another one too.
Okay, wait, can you contact Eric? Just
No, not right now.
okay. Here, I'll let you finish. I'll be back. I'll be back.
Okay.
Okay, we're back again.
I love him. He looks so cute. He's so cute. Go ahead.
Okay, so can you shut the fridge, please? Give me a second. Evan's gonna like.
Always yelling at
He
me.
has a class after, so we gotta
He's
go.
having these little interviews all the time, and like
Nobody
just pushed
cares.
aside.
Nobody cares.
Garbage.
Okay, so you were saying that you're saying that without following a particular, like the kids today feel a little bit lost because there's no loyalty. And the way I interpreted that was, you know, when you have a prominent figure or thing that you constantly go back to, it gives you a sense of normalcy or like a navigation system. Like it's something to check into and progress with and make you feel like you're connected to a larger thing outside of your life. And I
It's a
think-
touchstone.
Yeah.
It's your touchstone. It grounds you, right? Let me tell you something, honey. Janet Jackson saved me in many ways, okay? Do you know what I mean? Because I was along with her when Girlfriend got big. I was like, it's okay, Janet. You have that sandwich. You deserve it, girl. Do you know what I mean? Do you see what I'm saying? So when I gained a little bit of weight, I was like, this is just a moment in time. Do you see? And that really brings a lot of power. You know, I'm so glad that you asked me to do this because one of the biggest things that I struggle with doing what I do is watching society control and lie to us in a way that distracts us from ever finding who we truly are, right? And you know, pop culture, it's such a beautiful thing because it can provide you with clicks, right? If you are, you know, the makeup clique, there is a passion and there's a power in there. Do you know what I mean? If you are emo, if you are any of these things, there's a power, there's a community in there. If you love, you know, Britney Spears, or if you love whatever, there's a passion and there's a power. There's somewhere for you to find yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I mean? But what I'm finding is happening now with a lot of people is that we are being conditioned in a way that nobody really fits in anymore. Does that make sense?
Kind of like everybody's been sort of, I mean, the one thing I've heard about the younger generation and social media specifically is that their person to person confidence is down, and their
Yes.
self-awareness is down. Like, you know, for example, going on dates and things like that. People aren't doing them as much because they're so dependent on technology to keep them connected. And so when you have a whole generation of kids who don't feel good about themselves and don't know who they are, how do they identify with other things?
Absolutely. Remember when we were growing up, honey? I mean, it was such a different way of living our lives. We lived our lives. I remember, and I mean, I remember growing up in the 80s. Don't ask how old I am, okay? I remember growing up in the 80s. It was, you picked clothing. You know what I mean? And your clothing kind of was a reflection of you. There was still that individuality, right? Then we went into the 90s, and there was still kind of that. Everybody kind of wanted to dress this way and that way, and I get it, but there was still that individuality. Now we're reaching a point in time where nobody has any clue who they are anymore. Right? We are told you have to be this way. You have to live this way. You have to look this way. You have to have the latest this. You have to have the latest that. All of our goals are laid out in front of us. Do you see what I mean? They're laid out where they weren't so much when we were growing up.
Yes, and there's a pressure now with the way that self-help and spirituality is being commodified. There's this hyper pressure for people to be like authentic and happy and positive, and it's like it takes away your ability to just feel like shit sometimes, and failures feel so much bigger because you're constantly seeing everybody's edited life on social media, and the pressure, especially with spirituality, to be, you know, your best self is like, what does that even mean? What is that? Is that a really popular picture on Instagram?
That's bullshit. Let me tell you something. Most of the most spiritual people, honey, look, I'm older than Seer, boo. I have some high-profile spiritual people coming to me, right? Messy. Okay? Messy. I'm not going to lie to you. Messy, right? You don't think that I'm not watching SpongeBob, eating pizza, crying about the state of the world? Of course I am. Right? How can you be a mindful being without taking a note and noticing what's going on in the world around us? Right? We have got to stand in our own personal power. It is okay to be sad. It is okay to be upset. It is okay to be afraid. It's okay to have your bad moments, right? Jesus Christ had anger issues, right? It was stated that that Buddha had depression issues.
Really?
Yes, he was depressed, very depressed.
Wow.
Right? The Dalai Lama says that he suffers from anxiety.
Wow. I mean, it's great to hear this stuff. It's just like when fucking Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce. Like, if somebody's gonna cheat on Beyonce, there's no hope for any of us.
Well, but you know, the thing about it is you have to take a look at poor Jay-Z. Take a look at poor Beyonce. Right? You're going to try and tell me that there's not a lot of pressure being Jay-Z?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So now everybody's like, oh, you did that because Beyonce is Beyonce. Look, I love me some of my Beyonce. Don't mistake that. Right? But it doesn't matter what she looks like, right? Look at that guy that cheated on Halle Berry.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We need to understand that an experience is an experience is an experience, right? And Jay-Z apparently, did it again. Then he stopped doing it. He hasn't done it since, right? Well, maybe it's a good thing that he had those experiences to figure out what Beyonce really meant to him.
Right. Oh my God.
Do you see what I mean? This is the heaven of form. This is where we have experience. And sometimes experience isn't always beautiful.
Yeah, sometimes it hurts, sometimes it sucks, sometimes it feels like you can't go on another day, but there is another day. There is another side to things. That's what I'm taking from what you're saying. If you could, like, just to wrap things up, if there's somebody listening who loves the idea of being spiritual, they have big dreams and they're trying to figure out how to streamline all of these ideas, like how to be better, how to be, live life in the way that they envision, their dream self, let's say, and they're pulled to a spiritual side, but they just don't know what the first step is. What would you say?
Authenticity. Plain and simple, right? Do not ever go to another person for them to tell you how to honor your connection to God. Right? What feels right to you? What brings you that sense of peace and love? Because what is God? God is love. Right? So again, if that is eating pizza in bed, watching SpongeBob SquarePants at that point in time, right? Then that's God to you. Right? Anything that inspires, if it's painting, if it's going for a walk, if it's taking a drive, right? Spirituality is not something that you have to go. Remember what I was saying earlier, how you don't go out to achieve something, you bring it to you,
Yeah.
right? That's spirituality, okay? You accept who you are, where you are, you learn from it, you grow from it, and that will strengthen your connection to the divine. No amount of mantras, no amount of lotus position, no amount of singing bowls is going to connect you to God. Okay? Spirituality is yours to discover, and everything you need. If what you seeketh you cannot find within thee, you will never find it without thee.
Yes. That's great. That was so fucking good. Thank you. That is what I believe. It's a spiritual journey, it's as unique as you are, and you need to create the conditions for it to come to you and show itself to you. And if something is calling to you and speaking, be like, come, try this, then do it, because that's the divine trying to show you what you can do, where you can explore. And that's where you're going to find real connection, not the lotus position. And there's nothing wrong with the lotus position, but if you follow your instincts and you listen to that inner voice, you will have an incredibly profound experience with the divine, with knowing yourself, with energy. I've had those experiences meditating, solitude, by myself, doing those traditional, I guess, spiritual things. I've also had them in the club with drag queens at 5 a.m. So there is it's all encompassing. It's a spectrum. Find your inner voice and let it guide you to where you need to go, because that is where you will find God.
Exactly. And that is so powerful that you said that. We have to always understand that if something inspires you, and like doing the club kid thing, doing all those things, it inspired you, right? And that allowed for you to have your own, or start developing your own path to God. Yes, you got a little distracted, right? Right? As we do, right? But even the distraction allows for you to be able to step back, take stock, right? And try again, right? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? So when a lot of people do that, they expect, oh, well, I'm just going to push harder against this. I'm just going to go against this harder, and I'm going to continue to do this. No, honey, maybe you might want to step back for a moment, right? Have a gin and tonic, right? Right? Go back to the vision board and try revisioning it. Right? This is all part of spirituality. I And I get a lot of backlash. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people are like, well, you can't really say that. You can't really do that. Why would you tell someone that it's perfectly fine for them to, go out and party hard? Why would you tell somebody that it's perfectly fine for them to, look, go do what you need to do to learn about you. Do you see what I mean? Because frankly, if you start honoring where someone is at, the likelihood of them finding that path quicker, right, is tenfold. Right? Just like dieting. I say this about dieting all the time, right? If you try and stop yourself from eating what you want to eat, there's going to reach a point in time where you're going to be backed in the corner and you are going to bust out. Okay?
Yeah.
Totally.
Thank you so much. You are fucking the dream guest for this podcast. I can't wait for people to hear this, and you're such an inspiration. I love talking to you. Thank you, Odin.
It is my pleasure, Peter, and I hope it's not a little too much for some people, because I know some people are like, what the hell just happened?
You know
Did he
what?
just say that?
I hope they are, honey. Bring on the haters. That's it. Haters make us famous. Okurrrr.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you, honey. You have class
My
now?
pleasure. I do have class now.
Okay,
right?
cool.
I love you. It
I
was
love
a
you
pleasure
too.
being on here, and I will let me know about the new house.
Yes, I will. We'll keep you posted.
Perfect.
Okay, bye, honey.
Bye.